We're on page 336, chapter 167. Let me read for you the first line that Maran writes. Okay? The first line Maran says, I'm repeating. Botzea bapat. You cut from the bread. Not cut, I said botzea really means to rip, to split. B'makom shene'efai hetev, where it was baked the best, the most. Rama says, Hagal b'pad didan, and our bread, yesh livtzoa b'tzad hapad. You should cut on the side of the bread. V'yachtoch mat mitzad halyon v'tachton. You should cut a little from the top of the bread and the bottom of the bread. I'm now stopping here because clearly, there's a difference between our bread and their bread, whatever that means. There's a reason, a source of why we're eating from the most baked part of the bread. Let's see what the sources say. Beru Halakha, which is in the bottom of page 336. There's a column on the right. See that? Siman, Kuf Samech. It's like has a bold olive with a bracket. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Ayen b'Sanhedrin. Look in Tractate Sanhedrin. Shamar lo Menashe the Rav Ashi. Who's Menashe?
Sounds like Menashe.
What, Yosef's son?
A
king?
He was a king. Remember King Menashe?
Yeah.
Do you remember this
Yeah.
Gemara?
Was he the one with the idols?
Do you remember this Gemara?
That was.
Yeah, the split idol.
Yeah.
Maybe take out. You have Sepharia. Let's look up Sanhedrin. And then Shaar 102a. The last line of 102a. One day, we'll have a shiur series of many months in this section of Talmud. Sanhedrin. It's where the Rambam gets his 13 principles from. This area of the Talmud. It's one of the hardest adadatas around. This many pages. It's not. Where it says the Gemara relates Rabbi Abahu. It's the last line of 102a.
Here we go. Gemara relates around the
I just sent you all in this little classroom a link to the exact paragraph on that. So if you just click it, you'll get it. It should just pop up on your screen. Alright. Rabbi Abahu, Hava Ragin, he was accustomed, the Hava Kadarish B'Shoshan Melachim, that he would talk about the three kings that were mentioned in the Mishnah who don't have a portion in the world to come. Chalash, one day he became sick. Interesting that the word for sick in Aramaic, also in Hebrew you could say chalash, he became sick as he became weak. Kabel aleh, he accepted on himself, delo daresh, that he won't speak anymore about this king. I mean, clearly he was getting punished from above. You follow the link?
I'm sorry, I don't do it.
Should we, did I call out?
Okay.
We'll get a link over the Menashe, so you can click it. I'm not sure. So I maybe I'll just click it. Kevan, once, I'm now on page 102b, the Itbach, once he recovered, Hadar Kad Daresh. He started again teaching about the three kings. Amri, his student told him, Lo kabil et alach, did you not accept in yourself, that lo darashta bahu, that you wouldn't speak about them anymore? Amar, inhu mi hadu bahu, da'ana hadar bi. Did they do teshuvah, that I should do teshuvah? Meaning, what did they change since they died that I can't speak about them anymore? So once he was not weak anymore, he wasn't afraid to speak about them again. Rav Ashi. So now we're talking about Rav Ashi. He finished teaching about the three kings. Amar, he said, tomorrow niftach bechaverin. tomorrow we'll talk about our friends. You know, like we'll talk about our friends, the kings, our buddies. Ata Menashe came. Itchazile b'chalma, and appeared to him in a dream. How bad was Menashe? Menashe was one of the most wicked kings of Israel who ever lived. He was the son of...
A righteous king.
Who was that? The most righteous king.
Hiskiyahu.
Hiskiyahu. Remember, Hiskiyahu does not want to have children. Remember, he doesn't want to have children. And the prophet Yeshayahu comes to him and says, you have to have children. It's a mitzvah of your creators. I know what's going to... I saw in the Ruach HaKodesh what kind of son I'm going to have. I don't want to have it. And he said, you do what you need to do, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will do what he needs to do. And he has him, and Menashe becomes a king who literally terrorized Am Yisrael. So this is at the... Already he's dead, and he comes back to Rav Ashi in a dream. Amar chavercha v'chaverei davuch kiratlan. What do you think we're your buddies? We think we're your dad's friends? Who do you think we are? How dare you say that you're our friend? By the way, you could also interpret here when he says we'll talk about our friends, meaning that we're equals in terms of these kings were also Talmidei Chachamim. These kings were Torah scholars, though they were evil. They had a proper Jewish education. We are trained in the Jewish community to think that all the wicked kings of the Tanakh were just bad people, idol worshippers. They intermarried. But they were all the rabbis that you know in the world could fit in the back pockets of these kings. The purpose of the Nevi'im is to teach us that the greatest Torah scholar can be as wicked as King Menashe. Somehow we have this attitude in the Jewish community. You can't say that person's a bad person. He's a Torah scholar. That's exactly the point of the whole Tanakh. The point of the whole Tanakh is even that great Torah scholar could be a king like Menashe. What are you covering up for evil people for? I mean, that's the chinuch. We missed the education of the Tanakh. We've bought into. I don't know where we got it from. I mean, I know who is pushing that agenda. The people who don't want. They don't want to lose their positions. If someone's a crook, it doesn't make difference how much Torah he knows. Like I told the story of Rabbi Chaim Nasas. Once you decided to be a crook, so you also lost your right to call yourself holy. You lost it. You chose. That's a choice you made.
Right.
So Menashe said, "What do you think I'm your friend? Who are you?" So Menashe says, "Want me to show you? You don't know any halachot? Let me teach you a halacha you don't know." And I had a friend once. He wanted to learn Arabic. So he decided the best way to learn Arabic is from Arabs, not to go to Upan, for Arabic. So he lived in the old city. He was in Yeshiva with me. He was the Chazan, and that was his thing. He was a tremendous voice, beautiful voice. And he would spend most of his days in the Muslim quarter in the old city. And he was Sephardic, so without a kippah, he looked like everyone else. He fit in nicely. And over time, he learned not just how to speak Arabic, but how to play the oud, properly from the area. You see him playing backgammon and drinking Turkish coffee. Like they thought he was one of them. In fact, the Arabs didn't believe when he would tell them I'm Jewish. They laughed at him. Oh, you're Jewish, but I'm Jewish too. He said, "No, for real, yeah, for real. We're Jews too." So one day he got arrested by the border patrol because there's like a curfew on young people, and I guess he was too young to be out in the streets, but he was out in the streets because he's Jewish. He was Israeli. Something like that, of that nature. So the border patrol stopped him. He said, like, "Guys, I'm Jewish." Yeah, you're Jewish. Right? Yeah, for you're Jewish. Nobody believes him he's Jewish. And he says, they put handcuffs on him. And he said, I promise you I'm Jewish. So he said, "We don't believe you that you're Jewish. We'll take you to the station. We'll ask some questions. We'll ask for your paperwork. We'll figure out if you're Jewish." And the guy says, "Tell me your bar mitzvah parsha." Tell me your bar mitzvah parsha. Tells the Israeli soldier. He tells him, "Kitavo," whatever it is. He says, "Okay, watch. Which one aliyah do you want? First aliyah, second aliyah, third aliyah." So looking for him. They were in such shock. Both the Arabs were in shock, and the border patrol were in shock. He really knows Pashat Shavua. They let him go.
And that was the end of his fun in East Jerusalem.
Right, that was the end of his stint. That's true. Now here you're in Israel. Like you think you're Jewish? Let me read you Bar Mitzvah Parsha. Yeah, don't pretend like you know more than me. Menashe asked Rav Ashi, "Mehecha ba'it lemishle hamotzi." Tell me, when you make hamotzi, where do you start cutting the challah? Where do you take a piece from? Amar le, lo yida'ana. I don't know that halacha. Where are you supposed to cut the bread? You cut the bread wherever you want to cut the bread. אמר לי, מהיכא דבית למישרא המוציא לא גמירת, וחברך קרית לו? You don't even know the halacha of where you start to cut your bread when you make a hamotzi, and you think you're my friend? And you think you're my equal? I mean, he's being taunted by Menashe from an afterlife, who was the most evil king, but is telling him, you don't even know basic halachot. What do you think you're my friend? Who are you to talk about me? Amar le, he tells him, Magamre li, teach me the halacha, meaning he just teach me where, ulemachar darishna le mishimcha bepirka. Tell me the halacha, and tomorrow I promise to quote you in my shiur, to give you credit that you taught me halacha. Amar le mehecha dekarim b'shula. He says, you cut the bread, you eat the bread first from where it was most baked. Amar le, he tells him, machar dechakimto kulei hai. If you're so smart, King Menashe, if you know so much Torah, then why did you become an idol worshiper? Yeah. Meaning, if you know so much Torah, you even know where you got the bread from, how did you become an idol worshiper? If you were in our generation with us, he says, if you were in my generation, you would lift up the hem of your cloak, so you wouldn't trip as you run so fast to follow me to Avodah Zarah. I mean, the Yetzer Hara there was tremendous to serve Avodah Zarah.
His father?
What?
His father? What was it like that?
Whose father?
Wasn't it this,
Ezekiel, you mean?
yeah, wasn't his grandfather Isaiah?
Yeah. No, not grandfather. Isaiah is the prophet.
The prophet, yeah, but... didn't
So
he-
what's
but
what's
he
what's he
killed
telling him? If you lived in my generation, you wouldn't stand the test either. You wouldn't be able to survive. Amar lehu l'Rabbanan niftach birbavta. The next day when Rav Ashi came to the rabbi, he said, we will begin with the study of our teachers. Meaning, I'm going to teach you halakha in the name of my teacher, King Menashe.
But this came in a dream.
Don't learn halachot from dreams.
Right.
You should learn halachot from King Menashe.
Right.
Can you see why Agarata is complicated? Because how many people are going to read this like we just read, superficially? In their head, they believe that King Menashe appeared in a dream. King Menashe was so evil, what is he busy still knowing what's going on in the world? He's sitting up there with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, watching everything that happens. He's teaching halachot. We rule halachot like dreams. Why is Rav Ashi a great rabbi if he doesn't even know the halakha from where you cut bread? Why is this this king so great and yet he still chooses to run after idol worship? What kind of answer is that? If you were with me, you'd be worse. This whole Agarata is cryptic. Agarata is meant to be cryptic. To sit down and understand this properly, you'll have to understand who taught us this Gemara. Why? What message are they trying to teach us? What's the purpose of this story? There's so much that one needs to do in order to understand this. It's the reason why our Chachamim had specially dedicated learning times and sessions to learn Agarata. You can't study this the way you study regular Talmud.
Is there a code to it?
You know,
We can figure out
there's a
is-
letter from Rabbeinu Avraham ben Arambam that some people say is a forgery. So I'm not here to tell you yes, no, what. But the idea behind it is true, even if he didn't write it. He said that his father, the Rambam, wanted to write a commentary on Agadot, and it was just it was too much. Meaning, there's too much happening. It's not clear like halakha that it works like this. And he didn't. Meaning, so if the Rambam was intimidated to approach this, I'm not saying that's true or not historically. I'm saying that the idea is our great Chachamim, they had a hard time with these sugyot. Some Agarata are more easily understood than other. Some have Chachamim that really blaze trails in those teachings. Yeah, there are some rabbis who really dedicate their life. If you look at the Ein Yaakov, he dedicated his life. The commentaries on the page dedicated their life. They dedicated all of these commentaries to understanding the Agarata. You have some Chachamim like Rav Kook, who wrote volumes trying to explain the Agarata. He got through Masechet Brachot, Masechet Shabbat, and stopped. I mean, true track. He wrote 4 books, but the Ben Ish Chai has 2 different commentaries on the Talmud. And by the way, I found his commentaries sometimes. So sometimes he gets really deep into Kabbalah, But some of his commentaries are truly beautiful. The way that he looks at something that I've always looked in one way, and because his knowledge of Torah is like this and is able to connect the dots to other places, there's some really special commentaries. There's a famous, we call him the Rif or the Riaf. He's not the Rif that you know. He is a Moroccan rabbi also, but many generations later. Rabbi Yoshiahu Pinto, also not the one from this generation, an old Rabbi Yoshiahu Pinto. He is the last of the Musmachim. Tradition has it that, remember, Mahari bin Chaviv gives Mahari bin Rab gives Hasmacha to Maran, Rabbi Yosef Karo. And Maran, and he's with two other Rabbanim who get smicha with him. Maran, that smicha continues for a little bit of time. And the Riaf, the Rabbi Yosef Pinto, is the last of the Musmachim who received smicha from people who received smicha from the Sanhedrin, which was reconvened in Sfat after the Spanish expulsion. He writes a beautiful commentary on the Agartha also. I use this commentary often when I study Agartha. Maharsha from Ashkenaz. Maharsha has some beautiful commentaries on Agartha. If you combine all of these Chachamim together, you may begin to start cracking the codes. But I don't know if there has been somebody who's truly sat down consistently from A to Z with all of the Agartha and made a clear way of how you learn. I don't know that there is such. I mean, it could be that it's written by so many different people that you have to address every situation, every story, every commentary separately. You know, maybe I could give you an example. Zev was in my house earlier, so he brought up, somebody posted that this is, everything we just did is going to have them out for tomorrow's class. Tomorrow's class, we're going to analyze this teaching of Menashe to Rav Ashi, who's telling him basically where you start making Hamutzi from. So there's a Midrash going around, Midrash Echa. They brought it from some art scroll Midrash, that Mashiach, if he comes from the dead, if he comes from the living, his name will be David. And if he comes from the dead, his name will be David also. And if Mashiach comes from the dead, so you're saying Mashiach comes from the dead. Can Mashiach come from the dead?
No.
So here many people would like to use this to say that their rabbi or their teacher is the Mashiach, and here's proof that Mashiach can come from the dead. Now I'll ask you a logical question. Let's assume for a moment that Mashiach, I don't believe it's true. Let's assume for a moment that Mashiach can come from the dead. What makes your rabbi so great? That from all the descendants of David HaMelech, he is greater than all of them. Greater than Shlomo HaMelech? Maybe Shlomo HaMelech. If the children of David are coming back to be the Mashiach, why not Shlomo HaMelech? What about Rashi? Or the Maharal, or other Chachamim that have a Yichus from David HaMelech? What are they? If in your Chassidut, all the Rebbes are related, so then why the last one and not the first one, who's greater, obviously, than the last one? I'm just asking, on a logical level, it doesn't make sense. It sounds like an infatuation, which is illogical and dangerous. But here I'm going to explain. The Midrash is not the Talmud. The rulings of the Talmud are ours. They're the majority of the Chachamim wrote the Talmudim. The Midrashim, every Chacham is writing in the Midrashim how they see it. In the Gemara, we have an argument whether or not Mashiach will come first, and then afterwards will be the revival of the dead, Kehillat HaMetim, or first there will be the revival of the dead, and then the Mashiach will come. This Midrash is clearly following the opinion, not like the Talmud, that there will first be a revival of the dead, and then the Mashiach will come. There's an opinion like that, but it's an opinion. Whereas our Chachamim clearly understand the first the Mashiach will come, and then sometime, who knows how long, afterwards will be a revival of the dead. In which case, the Mashiach can't be revived from the dead because there will be no revival of the dead before the Mashiach comes. You understand? It's very easy to answer such a question if you know how to properly study a Midrash or properly read an Agadata. Oftentimes people read the words of Chachamim and they get lost. You know, the Zohar. Let's assume for a moment, and I'm not assuming, let's assume for a moment that every word in the Zohar was written by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Yes? Let's say that's a classic approach. There's those that support the Zohar. Even if it's true. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said something. The Gemara rules otherwise. The Zohar is the writing of one Chacham. Yeah, he may be a great Chacham, but it's one. The Talmud, the Mishnah, these are written by all of the Chachamim. This is a consensus in Halakha. Just like any other situation in the Talmud where one Chacham is not going to come up and overrule the rest of the Chachamim, it's obvious to anybody who understands that even according to the most fantastic approach to the Zohar, that everything there is from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, it's still at the end of the day, with all respect to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, there are other Tanaim that existed in the world that didn't rule that way. How much more so if you have questions about the credibility of the Zohar? I'm saying, but even in that regard. But unfortunately, you live in a place where people are learning, yet they don't know how to deal with what they're learning. They don't know how to read the Chumash properly. The fact that in the world today, I learned Rashi everywhere. Don't hold me. I'm not saying anything bad about Rashi. But Rashi became the commentary in the Chumash. Rashi's own grandchildren, the Rashbam, criticized their grandfather that he's not a Mefarish Pshat. He doesn't read the text properly as a simple reading. He's always bringing in Midrashim here and Midrashim there, and that's what people know the Chumash to mean. Sometimes I remember when I went to Yeshiva and I really started learning Chumash, I would look for stories in the Chumash that I heard in day school. They're not there.
Right. Well, there's 20 comments on that thread.
They're not in the Chumash. I reflect to mind checking who's in the hallway.
20 comments. Well, only one begins to touch what actually is going on here.
And we don't have a minyan tonight, so if you like the daven, you're welcome to use the shul. But we're not tonight. We're not going to. How many people?
8.
I'll stick around. If anyone else will stick, anyone else can stick around for Rabbi?
We're already done.
Yeah, I already did.
Yeah, come on
Stick around
in. We're
for
just
the
finishing a shir.
Okay, we'll wait out.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's interesting. So anyway, there were like 20 comments, and maybe one of them made the points because they quoted the Rambam.
Oh, so here's what I wish to say. When you teach people Torah, but you don't teach people how to, it's like, you give a person numbers and you expect them to know how to do math without knowing how to add or subtract or multiply or divide, or what does that line mean, or what is the fraction? I don't know what to do with the fraction. It's one number to add it to the bottom number. If people don't have an approach, it's like you're in the dark and you're supposed to read the stars to know which way is north, but you don't know how to read. You don't know which star is which. The same thing is with the Torah, and it's not a problem to anybody. You would think that before people study Torah, and it's not the fault of the people who study, it's the fault of those who teach. Before you teach Torah, teach people how to approach Torah. When you speak to somebody and you say, why do you do X when the Rambam or Shulchan Aruch says Y? Well, my rabbi says, no offense to your rabbi, but your rabbi is not the Rambam. Like a few hundred years in between those texts. The Talmud says, the Rambam says, Shulchan Aruch says, the Rama says, Mishnah Berurah says, and you do something different. Yeah, remember, the Ashkenazim and the Sfaradim agree on this. Well, our rabbi said, your rabbi's a beautiful guy, he's wonderful, but he's not the Shulchan Aruch. Who was he to overrule all the poskim? But we don't even teach people that, so they think that all these things were created equally. But everyone was created in the image of God. But not everybody's God. Yeah. We'll continue our shiur tomorrow night.